It's bright blue. It measures me and it measures you.
You're tall.
Measures length and width and height. My super ruler is alright. Measurement is fun for me. Just come and try and then you'll see. Find the height.
Welcome to the 120-day Keto Carney Gapsivore-like challenge. 30-day update, body composition. This also serves as Hacking Ultra episode 2.2. If you have not seen the introduction video to the 120-day challenge, the results of these laboratory assessments might be shocking to you. Even if you have been following this 120-day challenge for the past 30 days, these results might shock you. So we have lost a tremendous amount of body composition in the form of fat, muscle, and bone. These trends were not unexpected, but they were more dramatic than we expected. Our outlook is still great. We have a tremendous base from which to build. Before we dive into the lab results, we need to understand something about the context and the timeline at which we're looking. Based on our home scale, we can measure from day 1 to day 30 how our body composition generally changed. The scale isn't near as accurate as the DEXA scan, but the DEXA scan, most recent one we had before, was 6 months ago. So the DEXA scan is going to compare us 6 months ago until day 30, whereas the scale is going to compare us day 1 to day 30. So here's how we'll do it. We'll look at the scale day 1, day 30, and get a general trend of how much weight we lost, how much muscle, how much fat, that kind of thing. And then we'll go into the DEXA scan results and see how dramatic the change is, especially compared to 6 months ago. And the most important thing that we're taking from the DEXA scan is what is our starting point now? Not only body composition, but as we get into bone mineral density, we have action items. This DEXA scan is not just data for us to analyze in our optimization of health and athletic performance. It's informative. Our diet, our exercise, all of this will be influenced from knowledge we gain from the DEXA scan. And in the words of the great Ram Dass, I will be data. Okay, so the scale from day 1 to day 27. Day 1, we weighed in at 145.8 pounds. Day 27, 133.3 pounds. So we lost 12.5 pounds overall. Our body fat percentage dropped from 15.1% to 8.9%, a decrease of 6.2%. The last number is the scale's estimation of our lean mass. They call it muscle mass. 115.7 pounds down to 114.4 pounds. It says we only lost 1.3 of lean mass. I don't believe that. I've lost a significant amount of muscle. We've said before that the home measuring devices and these scales always take with a grain of salt. And I'm using this not to make decisions. I use this to track so we can see trends over time and look back on data. But I would never make a decision based on a scale. So let's get into the DEXA scan results and get to the real lab data. So if we start with this summary page, overall body score is A+. Total mass 135 pounds is a change of minus 21.8 pounds since November of 2022, 6 months. And the target doesn't matter. Body fat percentage, 12%, down minus 4.2%. I'm filming this 3 or so days after the DEXA scan. My body fat percentage is much lower now. Lean mass, the number doesn't matter, 112, down 12.5 pounds since November of 2022. This is where some history helps as well, because between August of 2022 and November of 2022, I gained 8 pounds of muscle and lost 6 pounds of fat between those two DEXA scans. And since that last DEXA scan, after gaining 8 pounds of muscle, I've lost 12.5 pounds. So we are in I don't want to say severely, but we are in an intense fasting state, and we're coming out of it now. We're going to bulk up, not by eating and sitting still, but by eating and moving. So we're going to be building very quickly, but we are at a very low point. And we'll see it's not just muscle that we have to worry about. T-score. Okay, we're going to come back to T-score and look a lot closer, but minus 0.6, I don't know the number, I won't say the number. This keeps me outside of osteopenia, but this is a full body T-score, and when they test for osteoporosis, they only measure at like 2 places, hip ball joint and one other place. So my T-score is probably worse than this. But again, we're going to get some bone mineral density reports out here in a minute. The next one is very interesting. We're not going to go through it, but it shows you left and right symmetry. In this breaking down of my body, my symmetry actually got better. I mean, it's fat goes down, muscle goes down, and you're more symmetrical because there's not much there to be symmetrical about. Visceral fat, whatever the numbers are, 0.54, my visceral fat went down. All my fat went down. We've been fasting. This is amounted to almost like a 30-day fast. 7 days water fast, 23 more days of bone broth. So yeah, not a surprise, but good. You know, we don't want to add visceral fat back in, and there's no reason we should. Android-gynoid ratio, whatever the number should be, is hip to waist. It's really looking at where you're carrying your fat, and we're not carrying any, so that doesn't really matter. All right, bone mineral density. This is where we don't have to go through a lot in the report, but except negative 0.6, it's probably worse than that. I am going to go to my doctor, get a prescription for a bone mineral density scan. DEXA Fit Atlanta can do it, but they can only do it with a prescription. So we will pursue this, you know, medically. But if you look at the BMC history, there was a bigger drop between August of 2022 and November 22 than since then. So I do not believe that we lost significant bone mineral content over the past 30 days. But this needs to be priority number one. When we get to the what to expect the next 30 days, it's publishing the same time as this video. Bone mineral content, bone mineral density, it's at the core of our program now. I mean, we're gonna be wrapping muscles around it, and you have to put pressure on the bone to stimulate the bone growth. So the muscle development all go with it, but the bone health is the first priority. Please forgive the shoddy camera work here. I just wanted to insert that we should understand that bones are living tissues, and we think of them as like rocks or really hard things everything's built on. But the fact is they're highly vasculated, and our bones are really a collagen and protein matrix that is mineralized. So the calcium fills in among the structure of protein collagen. We know our red cells, white blood cells are created in the bones. And I learned recently about osteoclasts and osteoblasts. Osteoclasts are constantly tearing down bone, and osteoblasts are constantly building it up. And just like we will hear about an autophagy in the fasting section, that these things are intelligent. The osteoclasts eat away the weakest part of the bone, and the osteoblasts fill in the weakest part of the bones, and the osteoblasts specifically fill in where they sense pressure. And this is where weight-bearing exercise stimulates the osteoblasts to build bone there. So when we get into the next 30-day look forward, we'll see exactly what we're doing to get those osteoblasts building bone throughout our entire skeleton. Back to whatever I was saying before I interrupted myself. So we're on track. This is going to be good. The next episode, you know, it's if you're here like enjoying the science, the next one may or may not be interesting because it's about fasting. We started this with a 7-day water fast, and then we've been doing boiled meat and broth for the past 23 days, and it's amounted to be practically a 30-day fast. I'm still in an autophagy right now. I'm getting enough fat and protein in that I don't think I'm cannibalizing muscle at this point, but there's not an ounce of fat in my body. Actually, we didn't cover it in the DEXA scan, but I think I have 11 pounds of fat on my body right now. My brain, it's got to be like 3 pounds, so 8 pounds of fat left for intramuscular, cell membranes, everything. So yeah, we're trimmed down. All right, but the next episode again is about fasting and some of like what I learned and what the experience was like. So it gets a little esoteric. So if you're here for the science, skip that one. If that gets your interest, check it out. If you skip the fasting one, go to what to expect in the next 30 days, because that's all about action. What are we doing for the next 30 days to make our bones stronger and flexible, to build muscle around them, get it moving, get our bodies in a way that we can absorb enough impact. Hell, we can go run a 5K. All right, let's get it on. See you guys on the next one.